Welcome to Blocked Ports, a network security podcast bringing you the latest in security and networking news on a variety of computing platforms.
Thank you for joining us in this fourth episode of Blocked Ports. Please be sure to check out the show notes at blockports.com for additional information and links mentioned in the podcast. Protecting your Windows systems from harmful malware and scareware programs is becoming increasingly difficult. Now authors of these viruses are bypassing Windows protection methods by obtaining valid digital signatures. According to the antivirus vendor F-Secure, it isn't hard for virus authors to trick a certificate authority into issuing a code signing certificate. All it takes is a valid email address. The technique succeeds because users trust digitally signed software and they trust their systems to alert them when a signature is missing. Windows uses authenticode technology to verify the origin of software and prompt the user to confirm before downloading programs without a digital signature. Malware containing a valid signature suppresses these alerts and slips past to invade the system. According to F-Secure, the situation isn't critical yet because virus authors have not exploited this tactic on a large scale. However, because Windows 7 relies more heavily on authenticode than past versions of the operating system, there could be more cause for concern in the future. Another antivirus vendor, Sophos, is reporting a specific example of malware that is currently using this tactic. Troj/BHO-QP is a rogue browser helper object, or BHO, that disguises itself as a Flash Player extension from Microsoft and uses a phony VeriSign root certificate. The user system does not display a warning as the certificate looks genuine. The only way to distinguish between the rogue certificate and a legitimate one is to compare the fingerprints and be sure they match. Sophos provides screenshots and steps to verify the signature on their blog site. Visit blockports.com for a link. In other Windows news, Microsoft has partnered with the National Cyber Forensics and Training Alliance, or NCFTA, to release Internet Fraud Alert, a first-of-its-kind program to help fight online fraud and identity theft. The program provides secure, real-time reporting of suspected fraudulent activity to participating companies, service providers, and banking institutions. These entities can then take steps to protect their customers and reduce losses from phishing scams and malicious code attacks. Hackers didn't take the day off this Independence Day. Instead, they disrupted several top websites including YouTube, iTunes, and Wikipedia. Reports say that it's still unclear whether or not the attacks were coordinated. Hackers were able to take advantage of a cross-site vulnerability that allowed them the ability to insert code into Google's YouTube viewer comments pages. The attacks focused on teen pop star Justin Bieber's YouTube pages, redirecting visitors to pornography websites and videos announcing the young star had died in a car accident. Apple's iTunes Store was also the victim of an attack on the same day. Hackers changed 40 of the top 50 books listed in the store to titles written by a single Vietnamese application developer. There were also reports of iTunes accounts being compromised, including one account holder who had been charged for $500 for several transactions he did not make. The forum site 4chan has been blamed for the attacks, although other common internet troublemakers like eBaum's World and FacePunch have also been implicated. Twitter has agreed to settle a complaint made by the U.S. Federal Trade Commission that alleged Twitter failed to take appropriate safeguards, thus deceiving their users and putting their privacy at risk. The FTC accused Twitter of using lax security measures to protect users' personal information, which allowed hackers to gain administrative control of the service. On 2 occasions in early 2009, hackers gained access to Twitter messages or tweets that were designated as private by their user. The hackers were also able to send out fake tweets pretending to be from President Barack Obama, Fox News, and other organizations. The FTC complaint alleges that Twitter failed to suspend or disable administrative passwords after a reasonable number of unsuccessful attempts, failed to implement a password expiration policy, and failed to restrict administrative controls to only those employees needing access. Twitter representatives state within hours of the breach the security hole was closed, and since then they had implemented several of the security changes recommended by the FTC. The settlement states that Twitter is barred for 20 years from misleading consumers about the extent to which it maintains and protects the security, privacy, and confidentiality of non-public consumer information. Twitter must also establish a comprehensive security program that will be examined by an external auditor every other year for 10 years. For a link to the FTC complaint against Twitter, please see the show notes at blockports.com. In an effort to further protect its users' personal information, the popular social networking site Facebook has implemented a new authorization process for third-party applications. By default, third-party applications will have only access to public information in a user's profile. The application must ask a user directly for access to more information. When a user tries to access the third-party application or website through Facebook, they will now be prompted with a pop-up permissions window that states the information shared by the software. The current alterations, which were announced in a blog posting by Facebook's CTO, came just weeks after the company defended its privacy policies, stating that they were entirely proper. For a link to the blog and more information about the privacy changes, please see the show notes at blockports.com. The PCI Security Standards Council announced recently that all three of its standards will now follow the same 3-year development lifecycle period. The longer life cycle was set after gaining feedback from merchants, banks, processors, and vendors worldwide who requested more time to implement the standards in their organizations. The 3 standards involved are the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, or PCI DSS, PIN Transaction Security Requirements, or PTS, and the Payment Application Data Security Standard, or PA-DSS. The new 3-year cycle is broken into 8 stages, giving organizations a gradual introduction to new versions of the standard and preventing them from becoming non-compliant as new changes are published. Stakeholders will have more time to apply the standards and also more time to submit feedback to the Council. The Council will make mid-lifecycle changes to the standards if necessary as it continues to evaluate evolving technologies and threats. To read more about the new lifecycle, please see the show notes at blockports.com. The company TrustWave announced that it's working to implement an end-to-end encryption solution for the payment card industry. End-to-end encryption renders cardholder data undecipherable from the beginning of the process through the end of the chain. The persistent encryption increases defenses against hackers and other third parties, because even if they are able to obtain the data, it remains unreadable to them. Such a solution will help merchants in the compliance process by reducing their validation costs while also lowering the risk of a card compromise. The company ensures that encrypted card information will be maintained in the same format in which it is currently included on the payment card. TrustWave also states that they are working to create a solution that will not require merchants to purchase new hardware. Ethernet speeds up as a new standard is approved. The IEEE P8023BA standard for 40 and 100 gigabit Ethernet is now a reality and is set to provide users with significant boost to performance over their previous top-end speeds of 10 gigabit. Increasing bandwidth demand spurred the creation of the standard, which is one of the first to incorporate 2 speeds. 40 gigabit Ethernet fits server-side needs, while 100 gigabit Ethernet is more for core networking and service provider needs. Though the standard has been ratified, there still remains work to be done to achieve interoperability across different vendor solutions. The Linux Foundation has released the full schedule for LinuxCon 2010, which is taking place August 10th through 12th in Boston. Kernel development will be the focus of the conference, and other topics will include virtualization and Linux and embedded applications. The early registration deadline is approaching fast. You can save $100 by registering before July 15th. Find links to more information about LinuxCon at blockports.com. Also in Boston recently was the Red Hat Summit, where a new hybrid cloud package was announced. Red Hat Cloud Foundation allows organizations to run applications public clouds as well as their own private clouds. With this release, Red Hat joins Microsoft as the only 2 companies to offer a complete package for running a hybrid cloud. Red Hat also announced a new partnership with Cisco at the summit. The companies have integrated Cisco VM-Link with the Red Hat EV kernel, which will allow virtual servers to be controlled just like physical servers by data center operators. See the show notes at blockports.com for more on the Red Hat Summit. Thanks for listening to Blockports, your network security podcast.
Blocked Ports is brought to you by Ron McCarty, a freelance writer and consultant specializing in systems, network, and information security. Ron is the founder and CEO of Your NetGuard, an IT services company located in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.